Remember, if you want to see in person these PPL pros and everyone else going at it, make sure you buy tickets to the High Res Expo. I guess you could find out where we are every Thursday and Friday, but the legal and less sketchy way of doing it is going online to highresexpo.com and buying yourself some tickets for this year's High Res Expo. It's going to be a fun one, so make sure to get your tickets now. Nick, looking forward to our second matchup of the day, though.
I like that plug a lot.
You like that plug? The less sketchy legal way of doing it is to just buy tickets and then come say hey to us there rather than finding out where we are.
Be a fan, but do it normally.
That's right. Let's talk about the match today, though. We have Onslaught. We have Heating Up, and this is really our most contended region in the PCL. We have Onslaught. We have Heating Up. At the moment, I believe Heating Up is the one who's on top technically. But looking at Onslaught, though, who are your guys to look at? I know Shutter's kind of one of the big names on this lineup.
Other Shutter, definitely somebody I'm looking at. This is a tightly contested match.
Yeah.
This is the reason you're tuning in today to the PCL. I think a lot of these other matches being almost blowout level stuff, I do not expect that from this matchup here today. According to our info sheet provided by none other than Mr. Blue, Other Shutter's checked in as frontline today. So, though he is playing a little bit of the Knessa, very flexible here as we switch over gears to the Grok. I don't know what we'll be expecting out of him today, and that's kind of the theme of this match is what do we expect? Good Lad, I think, picking up, being played by, or with Heating Up now. Just how Skeppy was playing for Flashpoint, there's a lot happening in this match.
I was going to say, that's kind of a good way to look at it is I don't really know what to expect. I mean, between these two teams alone, there's been so many roster moves, so many I mean, it's been a kind of a tumultuous time in this region, especially for both of these teams. So today's the day where they're going to be able to show, well, are the roster moves we made worth it? Because, I mean, this is the region that's most up in the air as far as who gets to come to land, who gets to take that next step.
And with already it being so close, it's like this is almost crunch time for these moves to be made because you got to break away from the pack. The way console works is not like the minor league or the Premier League where top 6 from Premier League are coming to the MSI, top 2 from each region in the minor league, just 1 from each region in console. You have to be the best in your bracket or you are not coming to land.
Yeah, and on the opposite side, currently the best in their bracket is Heating Up. They're the ones who are on top at the moment, though, after beating Onslaught in their previous matchup. But they've made a lot of moves. They have Good Lad on their side now. He wasn't on Flashpoint today. Obviously now on the side of Heating Up, and he's sort of been that 1-2 punch with Prosper Logic on that Flashpoint lineup. So now he's over here on the Heating Up side. You have SoldierBot as well, another guy who can make plays. And again, same as with Onslaught, this is a big question mark day for Heating Up. Are the roster moves we made? I mean, you pick up good players, but now the team chemistry has to build as well. So that's kind of where the eyes are.
I mean, we had this conversation earlier in the day when we talked about Skeppy replacing Good Lad. We had this conversation when we talked about Shadow replacing Loki for the Renegades. It's like, it's the champion pool that these guys play. And Good Lad playing almost like exclusively the hit scan, the Vivian type stuff for that roster. And now you're looking at a lot of these SoldierBot clips and saying, well, that looks like his job. Like, so who is going to be taking up arms? Who's going to be doing this job? Not to say double hit scan is entirely outlandish for console. That might be the way that they go. It could be something to say, this is like a land move type of thing where, you know, we brought on Skep because, you know, he's going to be able to travel, which is a factor. He's going to be here. He's performed on land before. He's not going to be nervous. All that can be said about Good Lad as well.
That's true. Now, there's lots of interesting ways to look at it. We'll go ahead and jump into the maps here for set number 3 of the day, the most contended set of the day, hopefully so far. At least on paper it is. Jaguar Falls is where we're headed for map number 1. And I think first round of picks and bans here is where some of the question marks will maybe start to get answered, at least when we see which players are playing which champions. I know they have Cop as well as a sub on the side of Heating Up, so you imagine he'll have some input as far as maybe the way picks and bans go in this case. But you have SoldierBot, you have Good Lad as well, so that's kind of where the question mark is. We saw Tyra Victor get played on for Bust Down in our last set, so you know, these PCL teams aren't going to stray away from potentially playing a double hit scan style team, but that almost seems more of a stretch than the traditional hit scan, you know, potential blaster style if things go. At least bans wise, pretty standard off the board here.
Yeah, we're going to see Khan open, Makoa open. Grover's definitely seen a lot more play than I anticipated. This kind of came out of nowhere. For Console and the way that they're doing it is ferocity. Maybe they saw Tenor doing this and thought maybe there is something there for us that we can rock, but they haven't really played it like the aggressive support like Tenor's playing, where he's kind of more hybrid doing damage. It has been almost that solo heal style. Makoa's open, Victor's open, Tyra's open, Khan's open, and none of that high tier stuff has been selected just yet.
Yeah, the Grok. I mean, that's an interesting high priority pick here.
Yeah, it is.
For heating up. Do you agree that Grok should be first off the board in a case like this?
I think when you see Grover, you're saying, all right, they're trying to build a stacked Death Ball style composition, and on Jaguar Falls, it makes even more sense. They need some shield shred though, and they need it quickly here. So I don't know if it's going to be Tyra. I think Tyra would be a good thing to take away from this Death Ball comp. I think Tyra fits better into a Death Ball comp than Victor does, because if she's damage amping Khan and Fernando, the whole group becomes scarier.
That's
whereas
true.
Victor is a little bit more, operates kind of on his own, does his own thing. But he is safer, harder to dive in a backline. Doesn't have to get as close as Tyra.
Console scene, pretty guaranteed damage coming out of a champion like Victor. And they're going to get the Barrack as well as the Ashe. So those are two pretty high priority frontliners. So they'll be happy to grab those up, I'm sure. The Leon, definitely a high priority pick in essentially all of our leagues here that still sort of hit scan presence. Pretty guaranteed damage as well. And the Tyra, so the Onslaught take away the other hit scan that's still on the board. Vivian obviously banned away in this case. So now this is where we look for heating up. They have kind of the last flex pick, and they go with the Damba. So we're assuming, I guess we were assuming anyway, but damage Grok and Victor as well. So now the question becomes, you have Good Lad, do you put him on the Victor or the Grok? You have Soldier Bot, do you put him on the Victor or the Grok? And that's kind of what we'll look to get answered here in game number 1.
I don't know. I'm feeling Onslaught's draft a little bit more in this one. I feel like it's just going to be easier for them to pull off. The one concern I have is whether or not Leon keeps up. They've drafted kind of a slower backline in Leon Tyra, which is okay for Jag because it's not like you got to dive too deep. But keeping up with this Khan and Fernando and being able to capitalize on what they're doing is a concern for me.
Well, Nick likes Onslaught's draft. Let's see how the casters are feeling. Down to them.
Thanks, guys. Gore and Rain Day here to kick off this set. It's going to bridge the gap in North America as we finished up Europe in pretty convincing fashion. Gore, I guess the big question is, you've seen a lot of 3-0s. Do you think it's going to go that way this set?
I don't know. I mean, it's really weird to look at because at the beginning of the split, especially after the first week, I would have said this should be 3-0, 3-1 max in favor of Onslaught. Then seeing the way heating up have, heated up, I guess, over the last few weeks. And of course, even with all these changes that have been going on, still made that progress.
Yeah.
I feel like it leans over in their favor, but I feel like this set can't end in 3 unless something drastic happens. And of course, something drastic did happen. That's Good Lad is now playing.
So the hard carry title definitely chosen on purpose. Good Lad.
And accurate.
Obviously losing that spot or just moving or however that worked out. Has still things to prove now on this team that is going up against a very successful team as well. Heating up looking good. Onslaught looking good also. Should be a highly contested matchup here as far as the numbers tell us already. Starting things off, Good Lad on the Grok, trying to apply some pressure.
Already being able to get this. And I think the one thing I know I've seen about this set specifically is when you're leaning towards one, there's one stat that I think is very good to look at for Good Lad. Unfortunately, it isn't starting off good for their team. They lose one, they get pressured out. But Good Lad hasn't lost a set in the PCL.
Yeah, that's right.
So he does have that going for him. Let's see if he can keep it up.
And I think that's going to be a strong, I think, resume for any team to look at and say, well, you know what, getting this guy on our team should bode well, as things have gone well for him in the past. But right now, Onslaught have full control, and they just did a better flank, I think. They pressured out Good Lad, who was a little bit separate from that fight, but the pressure continues. Huge burst heal, though, from the Grover, because it was TKO Ghost, who was about to find himself dead to the shock pulse, but now he has plenty of health to fight this one. Wooge with the rocket boots, but it looks like this will be Onslaught's point.
I mean, this is just good classic control when it comes down to it. The fight is happening on like 3 different avenues.
Yeah.
And on every single avenue, Onslaught's controlling it. They are winning those fights. And TK is doing an incredible job on this Leon right now, where it's just consistent shots, consistent damage. The same thing we saw at Ashik earlier. And even if you're getting out damaged by Good Lad, which is something on Grok specifically he's been able to do several times in the past, it's just, what is his damage gaining for the team right now? I mean, this Tempest comes out, maybe
Oh,
can
beautiful
get some
whirlwind.
good damage and some good kills, but it's just countered out.
Yeah, what's so amazing is that the whirlwind doesn't come, Gore, you notice, until about halfway through, until he really thinks that maybe he's got something going on, and they keep themselves alive. They almost overcommit because he's like, oh, it's 400, 600 more damage, and I find it, oh, wait, no, they're full healing, and now I don't have enough room to get back to my team. He goes down quickly. Whoosh falls, Jeff the Raccoon falls, and then I'm Calamity falls right after. That was brilliant, brilliant bait and switch from Onslaught.
Good grenade, but Soldier Bot, kind of a quiet game so far from him. The damage is decent overall for a Victor, but definitely not what we are used to seeing on the console league. This barrage is going to be good. Connects with 2, finds a big kill right there, sets up another in the con, and that is exactly what you need. Goes from quiet to loud in just a second.
Yeah, and that's what a barrage will do. It's just so valuable here. And movement being so limited because most of the high movement characters aren't picked up in the console meta. You know, people cannot blink out of that. They got to usually just walk, run, maybe a small dash, but you're not having people escape as easily here, and it really brings value to it. But Onslaught are already at knocking on the door 90% of the way, almost 95% of the way to push this.
Fiery Impact dancing around the side, trying to figure out where he wants to go. Has the overpowered, and if they really need to get things going, that is going to be the probably easiest way to get it started. But it's just such a big ult to have for the point fight on this map, especially if you can find yourself up 2-0. But who needs that when you have Richie?
Richie actually throws a firebomb so well that it forces that, and an overpower here. Wow, he's just going to play defensively, and I don't mind that. I don't mind that at all, but a firebomb from Richie is really the thing that helps to set up the kill on a Soldier Bot. Of all characters that can move out of that thing, you would expect it to be Victor, so just got caught sleeping a little.
And there's going to be the overpower. I actually love the timing.
Great
You're not
timing.
going to have that for next round, but that's going to be able to start this up and make that dome shield feel maybe a little silly as it goes down right there. Overtime going to be coming through, but the payload pushing on forward.
But Gore, what's so good about the way they're doing it is they see the dome shield, then they decide to go for it. They see the assert dominance, then they know you don't have that to jump back on the map, you don't have your shoulder bash to get down immediately. Like, we're going to basically guarantee that our ults are finding value, and we're going to use them after you've already tried to find value with your ults. Onslaught are a step ahead, and Heating Up are a day late and a dollar short.
I mean, this is coming down to the fact that both teams at this rate have had changes that they've had to deal with, either players leaving, getting suspended, or what have you. But it's been making a big change of who can scoop up the best, right? And if you honestly just cover up and look at the names on Onslaught one by one, 9 times out of 10, you're not going to go, that's the best player you have to be able to get on this console, right? Most of them, I'm going to say tier 2, tier 3, right? They're not going to be the number ones. They're not the MVPs that we've seen that Heating Up had coming into this split. But them together, very similar to like the Pittsburgh Knights right now, right? Where it's just like you separate or on other teams have not been able to shine. You put yourselves together, and all of a sudden you are a different behemoth to deal with.
And that unity is what's helping this match in particular. The way they're taking the fights is simply better than the way Heating Up is taking the fights. So it's not about individual skill. These fights are just being out-positioned, out-maneuvered, out-ulted, and that is the result. Onslaught has then guaranteed themselves here of being able to thus capture the point. However, they need to blossom here. They're not going to get it, but they will move away from the barrage, and they'll bait that out. It'll cancel with 41%.
Tries to get that last shot off, not able to connect. There's going to be a crossfire coming through. Into a Tempest, not exactly the best position for Richie. Because of that, he's going to get taken down, and now you're looking at Fiery Impact going down, but it's still 42% to 11. Not a lot of time spent on the objective for either team. Yeah. But the fight definitely going the way of Heating Up.
And that's not how you like to use Crossfires, because under pressure, Crossfire is a very bad ult when people are attacking you because it's delayed, it is not CC immune, and it's just good damage, but it doesn't mean that you have any defensive mechanic or mobility that's outrageous that people can't hit you on. When you find a kill, that's where you want to use it, and unfortunately, they just get caught out. Richie this time playing the one of the defender, not the aggressor, and Heating Up make them pay by capturing this next objective.
Now, the shots, the aggression, all good. Calamity being able to hold the angle. Kind of similar to what we just saw Whitey doing in the last set. Not quite as aggressive overall, but I think that's because between these two teams, if you try to play like that, you will get punished very heavily for it. And Onslaught not taking it lightly, but other Shutter going to get picked off on the side. Richie kind of under control and under wraps. And this is so far so good from Heating Up. They just need to be able to get this payload a little closer. And if they can keep getting kills like that, kind of stagger them out the way they have, make this impression almost 3v5.
That's perfect.
This is amazing.
Yeah, and this is going very quickly, and Fiery Impact not on the defense at all in this game so far. So they're getting their first taste of having to deal with some pressure from heating up. And as we see in the namesake, they are certainly doing just that, getting a little bit better as the game progresses. Incorporating Good Lad couldn't have been perfectly simple, but seems to have started working. He's on a 10 streak right now.
I mean, slowly but surely moving it forward, doing whatever they can. And pressing as hard as they can as well. There's going to be the Immortal try and come through, keep everyone topped off, or at least somewhat alive as they come in. There goes Fiery Impact. That Immortal goes through. So does the push.
You know, that's the one thing an Immortal won't save you from, falling off the map. Beautiful stuff, but at the end of the day, heating up, use it as a distraction. You know, Onslaught try to get the distraction going there, but heating up are just one step ahead. Calamity, 3 kills in that round, 0 deaths, I believe, and a really big play to help turn the momentum again.
And a really big turnaround, I want to say. Partially, like, Good Lad has been top damage, and that's what he was doing very early on last round. That's what he's been doing the entire game.
Yeah.
3, 2, and 10, not really a crazy slash line, right? It's all typical for what I expect out of him. And that's because Soldier Bot's the one cleaning it up, and that's exactly how you want that damage duo to work, right? I'm going to hit them just enough that they're all going to be low. They're going to be constantly low because of the damage output from Good Lad.
Right.
And then Soldier Bot has to clean them up. Sometimes it's been the barrage, sometimes it's grenades, sometimes it's shots. But that last round was exactly what they needed out of them both. And if they can keep that up for this round, it's going to make a difference.
And that's what they're going to try to do. They've committed to these darkroom fights in Jaguar Falls, and it has been working earlier on for Onslaught, but heating up have found the proper answer, and these barrages have really put them into disadvantaged positions. Luckily, Richie and the rest of the team will just lose the other shutter and then back off as a unit, and that might have been the difference. Now that they know that is no longer available, Calamity pretty low, but people afraid to step out into this room.
Now, I either missed it or I did not see what was going on, but that Whirlwind came out very, very early in the round, and unless there was maybe a stun coming from the Ash ult, maybe it was timed with the Dread Serpent, although it definitely seems to be skewed that it wasn't.
Bad decision.
Did not go their way, and as of now, Onslaught, even though that was maybe too early, they're not punished for it.
He was just getting bursted, and he had the Ghost Walk. He needed to Ghost Walk first, because at this stage of the game, Cauterize and the amount of people staring at you, you can't out-heal that as the Grok. So Good Lad, instead of trying to do the patient thing and then maybe set it up, he goes for the full Monty, and unfortunately doesn't get a dime of money in return. And Onslaught now in the lead again.
This is that one area for these two teams that honestly, I feel like this map can go 4-3 to either team, right? The next one needs to go 4-2, and the last one needs to be 4-1, 4-0. Like, you want to find a 3-0 here to assert your dominance over the other team for one, but also because this matchup is so heavily impacting land decisions. This matchup heavily impacts who is going to be able to maintain first place in this region, and you have to find it as a 3-0. You can't take this 3-2. You can't really take it 3-1, because even though the maps, I think, are still pretty close between these two, that's going to make a huge difference at the end of the split.
It's honestly a really good play from both teams in response. They're throwing punches. We've seen this at all levels. You'll see a 4-0, and you'll see another 4-0 in the opposite fashion because these teams are so good and they have so many threats. And right now, Onslaught just using their threats a little bit better. TKO almost finds that kill. That would have maybe set up this push. And Calamity trying to get the damage reduction from the shoulder bash, but at the end of the day, Fiery Impact makes just that, a Fiery Impact, and this payload is rounding the corner. Onslaught a few moments away from being able to take game one.
Overpowered's available, Enlightenment's available, Whirlwind's available, Crossfire's available. If you're pushing into a team, these are probably the best ults you could have to do it. There's going to be the Whirlwind, keep everyone topped off. CC immune to move around. Barrage not going to be able to connect. Now the Crossfire burning down the front line.
And that's how you use your Crossfire. You have momentum, and you use it to increase your momentum.
There's supposed to be like 30 more seconds of fight.
But who wants to step into that? I mean, it's kind of a damned if you do, right? Because they have the payload, because they have the pressure, they have 2 tanks. That Tyra ult is enough, the sound effect alone, to force them back out of contest and get the W. So great stuff, in my opinion, from Onslaught. That was a very strong performance.
That was essentially, they've been bullying you this entire time, and they just kind of flex at you and like, all right, here's my wallet, man. Like, I'm done.
Exactly.
You can have it. I'm out.
Take it all. Just take the car, take the wallet. Let's send it back to the desk and break down game one as it goes the way of Onslaught.
Onslaught looking really good to start off their set here today, taking the 4-2 victory on Jag Falls, overheating up, and I think that's about as contentious as we maybe expected it to be. I could have seen a 4-3 potentially in the books there, but that was really a back-and-forth game, heating up look great for a quick 2 points.
Yeah.
Onslaught just hold out a little bit longer, and they end up finding the win here. But I think we'll see more of the same throughout this series.
I think that's what you can expect from these two teams. They are of a slightly higher caliber. I think when it comes to being able to identify an advantage and extrapolate that and turn that into the conversion, you're seeing that in nothing but conversion rounds. The 2-0 one way, the 2-0 the other way, and then another 2-0 round to just completely finish it off, converting every time one of these teams started an offense.
Leon, TKO Ghost, you can't give it to him. Well, I guess you can, but this is exactly what's going to happen. He had a great game. One of the scale tilters, I think, on the side of Onslaught. 3.7 KDA, 87,000 damage on his side. Double kill here, and you can, and even beyond the plays, it's just sort of a feeling. You can tell how he feels comfortable playing aggressive on this champion. You can tell that he's comfortable with the teammates that he has around him, knowing that he can play that well, or play that way, and still have some backup on the opposite side. If we're looking at heating up now, though, what do you maybe hold on to, or what do you maybe change that you saw out of Onslaught that made them uncomfortable?
I think
it's a tough question because they're a good team.
Because I think when you see them drafting, it felt like they were off to a good start in terms of drafting against what was going to be a pretty deathball-y Grover composition. The problem is there's not really a lot of blaster happening on console to punish this stacking.
That's true.
And that's, I think, one of the real weaknesses of their meta is they don't really punish these stack comps. Little bit of that punish earlier today with the Shrapnel Victor. That's probably the closest thing that we've seen to it. And I think it does a pretty good job of it, but there's no like Yomi Zins coming out. There's no Jorogos that's really being played very often because there's just too much hit scan. It's kind of funny that like that's what's keeping it, like what needs to be brought in to counter it out is also being countered or being kept off that food chain by what's currently being picked.
Well, I know Evan has really been calling for the Zin to come out. We saw it in one of the games earlier today, but not one of the picks that they are commonly going to here in the PCL. Frog Isle for the second time today coming out here. And what do you expect on a map like Frog Isle? I mean, you always talk about the snipers here on this map, but we saw a composition today where it was a Kinessa on one side, and we had double hit scan on the other side. Even with Strix on the board, they decided not to go with the Strix kind of as a counter, and it went in their favor.
It works
but the
not
Kinessas,
because of that.
Right.
It was those front lines that won it all.
That's true, the
Ash,
front lines.
Fernando were nuts. I thought that they really, really carried that game earlier today, and I wouldn't like to see that done again, to be honest. I think that's just a comfort thing. People really pick up those Victors, the Tyras. They pick up those hit scan rifles on console, and that's just the way it is.
Champions are made by the paths they
that's
choose.
the meta, and the
That's
person
right,
that
that's true.
figures out how to break it,
Right.
just like NIP figured out how to break the PPL style of meta. That's who's going to sit on top.
Well, off the bat here, you have none of the snipers banned out yet again. We saw the Kinessa was the last pick, in this case, the last time that the drafts kind of started looking out this way. Victor Grover first off the board here for heating up. Fernando on the opposite side for Onslaught. So a healer damage heavy start. There's only 2 champions on the board for heating up. But taking 2 of the more high priority picks here. Do you consider Fernando higher priority in this case than like an Inara or an Ash would have been?
I don't know. I think it really comes down to the personal preference.
Sure.
Personally, no. I don't think necessarily I don't think Fernando's a bad character, but I think he's much harder to do well with than something like an Ash or a Makoa would be.
Well, they're going to go that route, assuming that the frontliner there on Onslaught is feeling better about the Fernando. Worked out well the last time we saw Frog Isle today, so maybe more of the same here. Ash Leon, though, are going to be the next 2, so the Ash is going to end up being taken, but for the opposite team here. None of the snipers available, or none of the snipers taken just as of yet. Onslaught with their second pick here could take it, so another 9th pick Kinessa. Strix still on the board here, but again, both damage dealers already off the board on the opposite side, or taken on the opposite side. The Leon kind of fills that role in a long-range damage dealery type of way, but they get the Barrack as well.
Yeah, Barrack's a good pick here. I was kind of mulling over maybe Makoa, something like that in my head, but Barrack is definitely the right one. And Nara, I don't think is great to be healed by Grover.
Right.
Another aggressive tank. It's almost too much for this immobile backline to keep up with, and I think Barrack's probably the best call here.
Do you like that side then? Heating up
no,
is your way to go?
I still like Onslaught's composition better, but I think that was a nice round out from Onslaught for sure.
I agree. Well, Onslaught find themselves map number 1. We're headed down to Frog Isle. Onslaught, well, they're looking to make it another 3-0 here today, heating up, trying to avoid that. Let's send it down to the casters.
The barfing frog. A sentence never uttered before until Dave and Gore thought it up, and I appreciate you, fellas.
You know what? I'll give him full credit. That's all Dave.
You know, I'm all about it. Let's just
it.
give Dave credit to that. That's Dave's thing.
I have very often seen that statue and just thought of the noise like blah, but never been able to articulate it the way Dave did.
Well, you know, I think at the end of the day, it's a beautiful statue that makes you feel a certain way. I think art's about being interesting.
Me on my 21st birthday.
Yeah. Me on my 20. Exactly, right. Hashtag relatable. And 18% for heating up. I mean, relatable for their experience beforehand, but Richie's saying, how about this? Can you relate to these sniper shots to the dome? Apparently, everyone cannot as they go back to base, just trying to manage their feelings and thoughts. And, oh, wow, he's going to take his own path instead of being delayed any longer.
That was, and this is actually something I noticed earlier when we were on Frog Isle and there was a Canessa where it's just a very slow start to the round, right? No crazy shots that come out.
Right.
And then, like, 20 seconds go by, and then it's like, okay, 5 in a row that just come out of nowhere. And it's just like those moments. When you turn that on, it's just so incredible to watch a good Canessa. And on this map, again, much like earlier, you don't have too much that can contest her. Victor and Leon is going to be a little bit better, but there's no real flank pressure. There's no one like an EV or someone who could jump back, a Zen even, who can just go back there and just cause a lot of trouble and force this Canessa to be uncomfortable. So I expect this to be pretty good sniper game.
I think it will be also, and at a good position here for the continuation of what has looked like a pretty just... I mean, I almost say dominant, but I feel like just they've stepped it up a level, and I haven't seen Heating Up match that. And it's great to see, you know, this Grog also come out, and TKO Ghost use it again with pressure to create more pressure and to keep this defense extremely hard for Heating Up to set up.
And this is just a good angle.
They haven't had a
You're
hole.
going to be able to find dismounts. You're going to be able to lock them down in the base. If you aren't finding the shots, your sniper is. And no matter what, you're in a good position. I think I just heard what sounded like an overpower going through right there. Now the damage is going to be very solid overall. Damage galore for everybody involved. Convergence is available. But finally, Richie gets taken care of.
Yeah, and that's the key. You got to take their... What we were looking at so much was that Grog. But the key is, you know, you're right. Richie is the sniper. He's the one that needs to be dealt with. But you got to give credit where credit is due. The other Shutter is being a nuisance. And some great stuff there, just throwing him in harm's way, trying to get underneath the dome shield. We've seen that work so well beforehand, and NIP actually showed us just the perfect way to really settle a team fight by getting under the dome shield. But the other Shutter finds a kill. SoldierBot getting a little too aggressive. There's still 50 seconds left.
Yeah, that's the misleading thing about this. This feels like a great defense from Heating Up.
Yeah, round
and then
over,
you realize
right?
There's still a minute left, right? It's
Yeah.
going back and forth. And in most games, that is a fight that you don't see until, I guess, 30 seconds from now, right? When it's at the very end. Maybe 10 seconds left in the round where they have a little bit of time to kind of contemplate how they're going to go into the next round. But you get the dome shield, you get the assert dominance, and you still have 30 seconds to play with. They're not going to have those up at the beginning of the next round. You use a couple of your big ults, but as long as you maintain the two you have, you're about to recharge Headhunter and potentially Convergence in this round. It's going to make a big difference.
And this is really an assortment of ultimates here. The Barrage is coming down, the Immortal comes down now, and we noticed this. Remember, like they like to use these ults at the end, almost to bait it, to say, yes, you're gonna kill us, you're gonna kill us, and oh, here's a Whirlwind, oh, and here's an Immortal, and everyone's alive. Every single person in the Onslaught is alive, and you could see just in iGoodLad's mind, he thought, okay, kills are about to fall. None of them do, and man, oh man, Onslaught another 2-0.
Finding themselves up ahead.
It's impressive.
The question in my mind is, you know, yes, you can look this good. You can actually look very dominant in this kind of scenario. But can you stop them from using the comeback mechanic here? Like, can you stop it from going 2-2? Can you stop it from kind of tying up, evening up?
Yeah.
Can you make sure that you lock them down? Because, again, that's kind of the hallmark to me of
how
not
good
only
are
you better than this team, but how much better are you?
I don't think they're that much better. I mean, I think that, and it's not saying that they're not good. It's just that Heating Up are a good team. That's what makes what Onslaught are doing impressive, because they're doing it against a good team. Proven players who are, you know, not players who are ever going to get walked over in Paladins in any moment of their lives. So the fact that Onslaught are doing this, it's a real testament to their behavior, but it's also a real testament right now to maybe this matchup, because as much as I wouldn't have considered this to be easy peasy, the fact that SoldierBot, Jeff, and Goodlad are all dead right now is not looking good as far as the retake for heating up.
I mean, if you want to look at what we were just talking about last set, where tanks win games.
Dude, take the longest way to reset. Holy crap.
Jeez. Well, last time we were talking about, our last set, we were talking about tanks win games. That can be the big difference. Like DPS, you just have to be there if you have really good frontline.
Yeah.
There, they just get rid of the 2 DPS, but it's like, it kind of works both ways, right?
Right.
You can be the best frontline in the world, but if you have no one helping you deal damage, it doesn't really matter. So finding that balance and just kind of tipping it all in their favor. Onslaught throw off as many members as they can from the map.
But they're so isolated. Oh my God, beautiful shot, Richie. Pop off, why don't ya? Double kill as well for the sniper. Looking to make it a triple. He's going to throw the Oppressor Mine down and get it.
Mine kill.
Get wrecked, indeed. 3-0, 3 kills. Onslaught and Richie looking unbeatable.
How many times do you get to see an Oppressor Mine kill?
Popping
Those
off.
should not happen. The amount of damage.
It's like a poppy bomb kill.
It does more damage than you think if you just sit there and let it take you. But as a I'm out of ammo, here's an Oppressor Mine, that reaction time, and usually not going to be enough to finish it off. Going to be able to find that one, put them up 3-0. I mean, that was Richie playing well. That's the whole team on Onslaught playing well. And that is what I wanted to see out of it. Control that point. Even if you don't get this, it goes 3-1. You've already kind of shown what heating up can do.
I mean, I think at this point, yes, Fire Impact didn't play that perfectly, because he did think, he did not recognize he didn't have his dash, right? He's trying to use it offensively. She's going to use a shoulder bash, and he's just not going to win that trade. So, I love the aggressiveness, but didn't play that matchup perfectly. But it still doesn't mean that he hasn't been playing fantastically today. That's what they have been doing. Where to Guap also, the Sarah ceiling. Let's bring up some of the numbers, because I feel like she's been making a huge impact, and she has. You look at the 85K, outpacing a Grover in a pretty clumped squad. It's a really good showcase for Where to Guap and the way that he's been there, and the amount of resets he's given the other Shutter has been phenomenal.
And the fun thing is when you look at it, it's 10K more than Grover right now, just on the Saris alone. Then you factor in 2K, doesn't sound like a whole lot, and then 18K, so 20 more thousand healing that is on the side of Onslaught across all 3 of the healing sources they have. And again, like you said, they're all grouped up.
Yeah. Here's the thing, though, Gore. It's 93,000 now in 8 minutes. The mark of good healing is 10,000 a minute, so he's outpacing that by about 13,000, which is telling you that he's overperforming here based on typical good standards of healing, or where you should be at a pro level. This is a big assert dominance, but again, watch the way that there's almost this delayed use of ults from Onslaught. SoldierBot's already taken down, and you've seen the Eagle Eye Kinessa. Can it continue? Or at least the the Headhunter coming up right now. And she's going to pop it. She's going to wait. Missing a few shots. Richie, wait, what? Not even at the point? And Onslaught have their priorities. I'm not sure if heating up do.
Twice in a row, where all they needed was a distraction, something to pull attention away from the objective. Barrick is like, all right, Kinessa's right over there. Headhunter's coming at me. I got hit once, but if I fire this shot, payload's way over there, dude.
I'm not even gonna do a joke about it. You just forgot about the payload, and unfortunately, that's why you lost. Heating up, though, a lot of other things to figure out. Really more about Onslaught dominating and playing just a level above today. Let's send it back to the desk, break it down.
I think Game 2 is going to surprise a good bit of us. A clean 4-0 there for Onslaught to take the 2-0 lead in set number 3 of the day. Nick, would you say that you were surprised to see that 4-0 scoreline there?
I think it's just the draft, right, for Onslaught. They pick up so much more that's just high priority stuff. I think you get that Soul Sniper,
right.
And then Fernando's looking pretty good on Frog Isle for
He
console
is.
anyway. I don't know what it is, but these guys definitely prefer the self-appointed knight, and it seems to be working out for them. I like the little sneak it under the nose, little backdoor action at the end. A good little backdoor sneak is always one of my favorite plays to watch.
Onslaught really just firing on all cylinders at the moment. Richie making the Kinessa look good. 65,000 damage, but you can't forget about the Ghost, the man on the Grok, 73,000 on his side. Then healing numbers as well. You had 90,000 on Guap, but then again, you look at Ghost, he's able to supplement another 20 or so thousand in healing, and that's a pretty, I think that's an underestimated stat in that. I mean, that's, essentially a fourth of a healer that also gets added to your team. 6-3 and 14 is going to be his scoreline, and of course, the man, Richie on the Kinessas. The one that maybe made the difference in this one. He had the flashy oppressor mine play to get the triple kill for himself, and we didn't see the lone sniper as the difference in our second set. You kind of mentioned that, you know, the frontliners really took that game over, but Richie made his presence felt here.
I mean, look at that. You see that four-man dive that is coming in. That's the death squad with your name on it. Richie, cool as a cucumber, just hits 2 shots, takes one out, almost immediately just basically cuts the legs out from under this hit squad that was coming to beat him up in the back line. So he's kind of looking after himself with that, and that's why if you can play it well, I mean, the sniper can be just a hard and fast win condition for you on Frog Isle.
Well, now Heating Up are in the position where you've lost 2 straight. The first one was pretty contended, a 4-2 map number 1, but now you've lost map number 2, 4-0. So now you're at the point where the last time you played, you beat Onslaught and you took over spot number 1.
Right.
So now you're looking, well, if we lose today, the map differential is relatively close. Now you have to look at map differential as well. You can't lose 3-0 because that's another big swing. Not only do you go to second,
6-map swing.
Right.
It's
so
big
that's what you have to look at. So Heating Up need to find some sort of an answer here, even just to start taking a couple of maps to prevent that big of a swing. Bright Marsh is where we're going to head. Heating Up, feeling comfortable on that map, a map that you know, they've definitely performed well on in the past. Do you like going to a map like Bright Marsh after a tough 4-0?
Yeah, I think it's harder to get out drafted on Bright Marsh. I think there's so much that you can run that you're much less likely to find yourself in a rough spot. This is a matchup that's close enough, like we just saw in Frog Isle. If one team outdrafts the other as hard as we just saw, it's going to be a 4-0. It doesn't really matter that much. Bright Marsh is, like I like to call, wheelchair accessible. Anybody can kind of make their way around this
Bran
map.
Stark won't get left out in the snow staring at you.
He'll be brought back in. He will definitely be able to come on inside the castle, have a drink with the boys around the fireplace, and that being said, it's going to be harder to you know, kind of get outdrafted here. And Heating Up started off pretty good with a Genos. A little bit of a difference here in the ban phase with Khan taking a seat.
Tyra is going to step up out of her seat, though, and take the first draft slot here for Onslaught. I like that, though, going for some guaranteed damage is kind of how I call it. I mean, it's kind of all but guaranteed. If you're not good at the champion, you're not going to do damage. But in this case, Tyra is about as guaranteed as you can get on the side of Victor, you know, point and shoot sort of deal. And Onslaught, you know, they're feeling comfortable with how they're playing right now. And an easy pick like Tyra is good on their side, as well as the Ash, really good here on Bright Marsh. The Fernando, though, is coming out yet again here on Bright Marsh. Victor on the opposite side as well to pair with that Genos.
And just maybe picking the Tyra up just to match damage amp for damage amp here.
Yeah.
Onslaught in a good situation. Grover's still available. That's been pretty big this set. They're going to go ahead and grab it. Grok as well, been much bigger in this set. And Grok overall, I mean, he was being picked in every single set. And frankly, winning games outright. He was incredibly impactful.
I just hope you lads can
wouldn't be surprised to see him here, to be honest with you. But I'm just curious as to which team it would be at this point. Either team has space to pick it up.
Challenge Makoa?
It's going to be Makoa at the moment. So now they have their last slot here. Still a flex damage type able to be picked up here for Heating Up.
Try to keep up.
They're going to go with the Koga, interestingly enough. So Genos Koga, we saw that in Flashpoint's game earlier today. To pretty good amounts of success on their side. So we're going to see the Koga come through again. And now Onslaught are in a position to answer back. And it's going to be the Shaolin for the first time today. So what are some thoughts on either side here?
Big spice, definitely with the Shaolin. I don't know how that's going to fare. It's I don't think I've ever seen a console league Shaolin. With the amount of damage amp that you get from Hunting Party, though, if you combine that with Explosive Arrow, if that's the way that they go, I'm not sure. I have no idea what to expect the Shaolin to be picking in terms of talents. I would say either Recurve or Explosive Arrow. There's a lot of burst damage potential there, and with a squishy character like Koga, if he takes one step out of line, he's going to be heavily punished.
Well, there's a lot to look at. The Koga's on the opposite side as well. Onslaught looking to make it another 3-0 on the day. Let's send it down to your casters.
Thanks a lot, Dave and Nick. Cool thing about that Shaolin, though, is that there is that inability sometimes for the Koga to track him. If you get a good heat haze, if you get a good withdraw, it kind of slows down the pace because you got to hit the shots in order to get the dashes. And also, Shaolin brings burst, which is something that is really the only way to kill Koga because he really has these split moments of being susceptible.
And I'm just anxious to see how it's going to play, right? It's one of those things that I think it's a really solid pick here, but I'm kind of with Nick on this one. I don't know the last time if I've ever seen Shaolin on console, so it's definitely going to be a fresh take But this is a good map for him. It might not be the best matchups of all. He might not be the highest priority right now. But I feel like this is Onslaught doing homework, watching other teams, looking at maybe some of the metas that we have across the other leagues, and scooping them up.
And what Virtus Pro say as well, and what NIP say, actually really more, I think that was the team I was thinking of, NIP. They really say that we play what we like, what works for us. And, you know, Richie going from 3 different champions this game, in the Tyra, into the Kinessa, and then into the Shaolin, really just playing what he wants to play. And it will be explosive arrow.
I can appreciate that.
And I think this is a smart thing for several reasons. A couple of moments where that explosion, that knockback, that displacement can be very valuable. Obviously isolating people, but already gets the kill. I mean, this is the biggest thing that's happened. However, it has been a committed Makoa, and Whoosh taking advantage of a few others. So aggression from the front lines ends up paying dividends for heating up.
And that's exactly what you want to see. At least the combo that he had at the very initial engagement is what you want to see out of the shot.
He's
Everything
gonna
out of
make it
heating
out.
up, though, is really what you want to see just in general. As a team comes through, they are going to be running Soldier Bot on the Koga. And that's one of those things, the burst from the explosive arrow is going to be enough to kind of help him in some of these boxing matches, help deal with the Victor, help deal with the Koga, or maybe burn down this Makoa a little faster. But they are going to have to be able to do it a little bit more consistently than that. Fiery Impact gets caught out very early on here.
So this is what we were talking about, the exact matchup. Koga spots him out, can't finish him off. Richie gets a little bit of burst, and Soldier Bot backs off. So that was that little moment. And enough burst to really force him away. And that's the thing that Koga can't commit on. It's when he gets to half health or so. He needs to stay topped off and needs to have control of a fight. He's constantly getting pushed back, and it is helping Onslaught to stay in this. But someone's going to have to make a move soon, Gore. And there it is, a big hook. And the Void Grip, that's going to secure a kill on the Fiery Impact.
Just clean damage, honestly, when it comes down to a Void Gripped up. Although it is still
Firebomb.
Onslaught standing on the point. And they have the control. The Firebomb comes down. It helps create a little bit of a room where you have to choose how you want to engage on them. Unfortunately, we're to Guap kind of in the worst 1v1 you could find yourself in as a support, which is any 1v1 that's not against another support.
Now, I will say this, great stuff from heating up in the lineup. Onslaught playing their lineup not to the best of their ability, because we saw the moments that it worked out. It was when the burst was on Koga, Soldier Bot had to reset each fight. One of those moments, Onslaught should have gotten aggressive. However, heating up, they do have good sustain. They have what it takes to sustain in these engagements, and especially the Koga, and that just unfortunately resulted in them winning that fight eventually. It was almost just by proxy of existing.
Shield's going up. He hazes pops. And he's still looking for Soldier Bot, trying to find him, try to get the kill. He is going to disappear. They have the burst. They just don't have the lockdown to get rid of him, and that's kind of the trade-off, right? Explosive arrow gives you the burst.
Sure.
But you don't get the stun anymore. And so being able to hit him in certain angles, maybe not the best map for it on Bright March, but then there's moments like that where he just kind of walks out of it. He didn't care too much about the damage.
Yeah, it's going to be about, you know, really stopping this Makoa, because Calamity's been phenomenal. And where the Ashes failed for him, the Makoa has already heavily succeeded. And you're seeing it again, and again against Fiery Impact. The con has been very impactful for Fiery, and so the fact that he no longer has the ability to play that, definitely a difference.
Onslaught, only 3 members alive right now. About to be 2.
Wow, hit your shots.
Except the respawns are going to come through. Good lad, going to be able to clean it up in a boxing match right there. Richie's going to be able to take care of him. The invisibility only helps so much in there. And Immortal's going to get forced out, so maybe you're going to be able to take this away as a win. But you got to find the defense.
That was a very bad Immortal. I mean, it just saves Whoosh for another 10 seconds.
Yeah.
I mean, that was very selfish-minded. And, you know, I think it's important to let those know, because it was reactionary. He got caught up at the 1v1. But, you know, obviously would have loved to have his teammates there, would have been able to then turn that around. He trades the kill, but loses a very valuable resource, which is very slow to charge. One of the slower charging frontline ultimates in the game in Fernando. So we'll see how that pans out.
Check back in with him in 40 seconds, see where his ult charge is at. Barrage has just now come up. You don't have enough time at this point in the round to be able to charge these back up unless you're doing an insane amount of damage. TKO goes for the kill, gets rid of Soldier Bot after the ult was used by the Koga, and that's going to be a good way to start this off.
And the aggression has really paid off as well. It's something that clearly they are trying to do, and every life matters. This is a knockout set, and they're not giving anything up for free. And in that regard, it's suddenly worked out for them in a very heavy way. Somehow it's just not even relenting. I mean, no matter what you do, And Heating Up now are the ones with the 2-0. So two good teams taking advantage of one another in the draft, in the moments, in their ult usage. And we'll see if something changes here.
And honestly, if I'm in Onslaught's shoes right now, this is about how I want to win this one, right? If this goes 4-3, then you all of a sudden are thinking, man, even if we win this, like, what are we going to do next game? Like, next map when Onslaught gets it, right? If it goes 4-3, if it goes 3-3, and you're going into that last round, so much stress is put onto you because now the implications are there. Onslaught being able to find this as a 3-0 puts them, I believe, will pull them into first place. If not, it's going to make yours way more shaky than it was before. So you have to kind of keep up this pace. This 2-0 has to turn to a 3-0, has to turn to a 4-0. You just got to keep going.
They did not draft enough aggression, or they're not playing it aggressively, because Jeff the Raccoon, who's been in that back line, just hasn't died. He hasn't died all game. And whenever a support just never dies, that's a sign that your team is going to lose if you are not on that team of the support. And so far, Onslaught have not been. And they have to have an answer for this Genos. The damage amp, the healing, it's just too strong. And one climb up, and he's already back into the fight. Now a very aggressive position. He gets bursted quite a lot, and now he's using all of his dashes to get away, and he goes down. Was it overcommitment, or was it just great offensive play? We'll find out. Richie, he gets crippled, and he gets pulled, and he's still going to make it out alive.
Being able to dance around, has a little hop to find some shots, and immediately comes back through and gets enough damage spread around that they're going to be able to come in, burn the shield, burn down Whoosh, almost force the Immortal again.
Impressed.
But it's almost the exact same one that we saw last time. It saves you, but maybe only 10 seconds worth.
And he was holding the bow because he wanted to kill, but he almost lost enough movement speed to get out of the through time in space. This point, though, is bad. He's got Makoa and Koga around him, and it's 89% counting. But Onslaught, they're all gone. Heating Up have definitely put the afterburners on, and they're looking to zone. I don't see a way Onslaught can get back in touch. It's just too hard of a map, and it should be 3-0 going to Heating Up.
I mean, this is just flipping back and forth between these two teams. Either side could win, although Heating Up right now definitely more in control. And I'd say they admittedly have the better draft. This is a good Bright Marsh draft. Yeah. It's a good console draft, and what Onslaught have is solid, but I just don't see the Shaolin quite hitting as hard as I think they thought it would. The Tyra's not having quite as much of an impact as they thought it would. I think you just get too many power picks on the side of Heating Up. You get Luminary, Koga, the Makoa, as well as the Victor. Like, just everything's on your side.
And it's not that they can't defend, and what's happened here in this last round, Koga has died more than he has before, but beautiful play from Soldier Bot. Nice stuff there, and he's going to dash away. The problem is he just doesn't seem like they have a consistent way of killing him, so even though he dies a few more times, they don't feel like they've got that solved or figured out. Good firebomb, but 87 health. It's going to have to get a lot higher than that to sustain, and they finally will. Good Blossom. Keep it alive, but Whoosh finds the other shutter. That's one tank down. There's just not been a lot of sustain. Two aggressive tanks trying to just battle off against, well, two other aggressive tanks, but Fernando really shifting into that hold it down roll.
So far, they're going to be going for the zone, but it's not going to be working too well. Ancient Rage in the face, and that's looking like it's going to be a good kill on the TKO. They're walking up this hill, and I mean, that's 3. This is going to be 4 kills in a row. Heating Up are just playing this clean.
Yeah. Great draft for Bright Marsh. Great execution. I had a question if that Immortal was going to be up for the next round, and it was. So he bet on himself. The bet turned out properly, and he basically won big. So did Heating Up. These guys turn it around, and it's impressive to see, especially after Onslaught hit him with a 4-0 in Game 2, to basically go into an elimination game.
And it's kind of the classic, like if you just look at it, Luminary Genos plus some good carries is going to be able to change a game, but then you get Victor, Koga behind that. And they got Makoa. Like, it's literally 4 power picks on one side. Like, just the scales of balance in the draft was leaning heavily towards Onslaught. Yeah,
it was a lot of pressure, a lot of aggression, and had a really hard time shutting down the Genos. Not sure if he died at all that game. So let's send it back to the desk and break it all down.
Heating Up are able to stave off our third 3-0 of the day and find a win here, make it 2-1 here in the set. Onslaught's still 1 game away from taking it, though. And Nick, we talked about this before going into the game. I mean, that's an important map win. I mean, you're still up against the ropes here. You have to win 2 more straight. But just saving yourself from a 3-0 if you lose here today, it's big, it's important. And coming back from a 4-0 previous map to then win 4-0 in this map, that shows some fight here out of Heating Up.
Definitely shows a lot of resilience, and that's what you love to see. In the spirit of competition, because we talked this one up like it was going to be a good one, but Onslaught just started to run away with it. It wasn't until SoldierBot and the boys brought out, not exactly spicy picks, but I think just a different slew of strong picks with the Makoa and this Fernando, both getting very aggressive, not being afraid to make some space for the young Koga to go off and do his thing.
What do you think it is that kind of enabled? Is it really just that the frontliners kind of opening up the space?
Yeah.
Was there maybe just not an answer on the opposite side? I mean, the matchup really was kind of the Shaolin. Are you going to be able to deal with the Koga on the opposite side? And SoldierBot, well, he sort of made his way through the Onslaught lineup time and time again throughout this game. Was it really the Shaolin maybe not being able to find the Koga, do you think? Or do you really just think the rest of the heating up lineup made enough space for him?
I don't know what the plan was with that Shaolin, but I really like, and in a lot of those clips, you can see Makoa and Fernando kind of out there in the mix, causing a lot of chaos, forcing a lot of eyes and attention onto themselves, and Koga was kind of running around doing almost whatever he wanted. There was a great solo play in there as well, so it wasn't all, you know, set up for SoldierBot. I think he made a little bit of that happen on his own, but definitely just a solid draft that caused a lot of chaos. It's reminiscent of like the way NIP played. It's like 3 or 4 people are getting aggressive. They're past half court, and they're making sure that you're not comfortable.
Well, for the first time today, we have Onslaught actually on a losing map pick, so we'll have to see which direction they choose to go here. And having them now bounce back from a 4-0, now we get to see what they look like sort of on the back foot. I mean, obviously still up 2-1 in the series, but that was a tough one that they had to face there, and it's going to be Ascension Peak, a map that hasn't come through too many times yet in the console league, so we're going to get to see it again here today. What kind of lineups is this map conducive towards?
There's a couple of different ways that you can go. If you want, you can play a more passive comp on this map. I think the larger objective really almost naturally draws the game out to be a little bit more passive. But you can also draft, you know, some pressure. I mean, if you're gonna kind of just ignore the objective, I don't think there's any one lockdown way to play this map. To put it short and simple.
Anything is on the table. It's kind of one way to look at it. Genos is going to be the one who gets taken first, so coming out of the sort of perpetual pick ban is the Genos in this case. To Fernando on the opposite side, continuing his high profile kind of rise today. We've seen him pretty high priority as far as most of the front lines go. Of course, Khan off the board. Imagine he would be up there if he was still available. Grover going to get taken as the healer for heating up, which is good on a map like this. The objective is big, but that healing circle tends to fit most of the objective into it. You get Genos Tyra, though. You get 2 damage amps on that side. Onslaught's looking for an aggressive lineup here.
That could be scary. They could go for a 3 DPS comp here. They have all the makings of it. Plenty of damage amp to go around. Barrack is a good healer for Genos. He doesn't have to worry about his lack of just big tank throughput. Barrack has the lowest HP of the tank class, and he relies mostly on his own self-shielding to sort of stay alive and buy time. But the Koga is going to be the answer again for heating up.
Do you think that's a Koga pick sort of as a result of, well, if we leave him, Onslaught could take him away, and that's a scary Koga?
Maybe.
Or, I mean, they had success with him last time, but do you think it fits as well into this lineup for heating up, or that's more of a, we don't want to give him as well over to the side of Onslaught?
Just lacking Genos already makes it a little bit less desirable and forces it to stand a little bit more
in this game,
on its own 2 feet.
You win or you die. There is no middle ground.
I don't know if Onslaught would have taken it. It's not a super popular pick, so, and it's not something everybody needs to have in the back pocket to grab wins.
That's certainly true. Leon Makoa are going to be the final 2 here for Onslaught. So they have the making of a really good lineup here. Really solid. Lots of damage coming forward. The Leon going to be able to kind of hang back while the Makoa and the Barrack stay in your face. So I think Onslaught have a pretty well-rounded 5 here. What do you think about heating up side?
I definitely don't mind heating up's little kind of situation here. A little bit concerned whether or not this Grover is going to feel comfortable staying in range of his very aggressive comp. He's got Fernando and Ash to sort of follow around. If he can just use the cover naturally placed on the objective, I think he'll be just fine.
Well, it's Onslaught who are on set point here, heating up, looking to fight back, needing to find another 2 in order to stave it off. Evan and Gore, take it away.
Very excited to see this one, guys. You know why? Because it's the same test of these lineups. Aggression, and then a solid, essentially damage character in the Victor to pair with SoldierBot's Koga. Whereas we see 2 backline characters like we saw prior, where we see TKO Ghost and Richie on the Tyra and the Leon. How do you feel this is going to go? Do you feel like Ascension Peak is going to lean in either way?
Based on the draft, I'm honestly looking a little bit more at Onslaught here. I think they have a little more of a shot, and actually just watching how much damage Richie will do on this Leon with 2 sources of damage amp. The question is if he can live long enough to do it.
Yeah, he clearly can't thanks to Whoosh, but he also finds a really nice boon in his efforts because they were able to take down Calamity. The only issue is that now, for Onslaught, who found that early kill from Fiery Impact to Makoa, haven't found pressure again. And SoldierBot's really who I'm looking at, Gore. Will he be able to go into that backline and play the way he was so aggressively with the Koga? Or will he be so isolated here that he maybe puts himself at risk on a much more spread out map?
Definitely going to be worth trying and maybe playing around this angle, not using kind of like hallway to his left, the roundabout that would put him right behind, maybe give him more access to these players to be able to burn them down. But it doesn't matter when you have everyone dancing around like that. They get rid of TKO once again. Now other Shutter, even though he's able to trade that one out, finds the kill, but ends up losing his own life.
And Heating Up have really shifted in a couple of ways. And one thing that I noticed was earlier on, the other Shutter, fantastic on the Fernando. Fallen off a little bit on the Barrack for me, and it's just been the positioning and it's been the pairing. We did see, you know, some great stuff coming through when you look at the Kinessa, the Frog Isle with the ability to have things like a Ceres full healing, really creating pressure, and also being able to get you back to a safe number. But it feels like Barrack hasn't had that same level of sustain, getting isolated quite a bit. Richie finally finding his rhythm there. And maybe something Onslaught can be happy with. Looking at the KDAs, Richie probably is not very high on there. Might have 1 kill, but it's died a couple of times. Actually, 2 and 2. So, been trading out evenly. TKO Ghost, none of their damage characters are positive.
And the thing that's kind of catching my eye, and I have to watch this throughout some of these sets, because a lot of the times these guys will have like a sub, or something will happen. Same players as games 1, 2, and 3. And it feels like last game and this game is a different Heating Up. Like they're just playing it a lot better and a lot stronger. That first map was a little bit more contended between the two of them. Map 2, definitely Onslaught's favorite. Now we're on this one where it doesn't look like it's going to be a very easy push overall for Heating Up. But I mean, that point fight was so clean that I don't think you have to worry about it.
You know what's funny to me is that I really believe Console is like just a league with the embodiment of Cuss Cutie's personality, where they ride on emotions, they ride on confidence. They're boisterous. They love speaking and joking and really being upfront. You know, asking console guys to speak their mind. It's the question you never have to ask because they always do it. And I think the same thing means that when you have those types of ways of interacting, I think getting a win is going to help you play better. I mean, I think like we see for Pittsburgh, when they get W's and they get momentum, things start to look real good. So I think that it's the same thing. Heating Up, getting the win under their belt, a significant win, they're going to look good coming out in this game. It's a matter of if Onslaught can stall, and so far they have.
I mean, this is going to be a very good area to zone in, because even if you lose your fight here as Onslaught, you still have the chance to respawn, use the balcony outside your base, kind of fight under that archway you actually see in the background on the right-hand side of your screen now. And so you can dance around. It does kind of depend on my eyes where SoldierBot goes. He's going to go for the ult right now, really just to stay alive.
Yeah.
He's going to be able to get the healing. Come back in, and they immediately get a kill off.
Yeah, and I mean, the other component is Koga, and you've let it through twice. It's now looking like it's burning you twice. You know, you have to consider that the things that you're banning have shifted the success ratio for this team, have thrown it into almost like your bans adjusting and banning Vivian and doing things of this nature have really hurt you more than it's helped them, because this Koga is serving the same role as a Talus, and Talus is banned every game. So SoldierBot, yes, playing better, but also maybe on a much more fitting champion for him and this meta.
And it kind of feels like, and this is going to the comparison you just made, him and Talus playing virtually the same. I'd say that maybe even more damage is coming out of the Koga than what we would normally see out of a Talus, because these guys have played against so much Talus.
Sure.
Yeah. And so it's one of those areas where, yes, it's really, really strong with a Torvald. Yes, it's really strong with a Genos. It's also just really strong on its own. Like, is it worth banning? Especially if you lose this game again as Onslaught. If you go and are at the point where Heating Up might find a reverse sweep, you've got to start looking at things like that.
And I think Heating Up have figured it out. It's like Onslaught love these lineups that can kind of like out-sustain fights. And so Onslaught, Heating Up are now drafting lineups that sustain better than Onslaught. And their damage dealers are going in and out and in and out and in and out. And eventually they catch somebody and then they fully commit and are very aggressive. So Heating Up have made a great adjustment. And that's a good sign. Good lad, 4-1. That's a good sign for him, getting some more confidence under his belt. Let's see if they can find a way to get some kills. Again, Grover undying. Only 4 assists, though. You just can't have healers not getting killed. You just won't win games in Paladins that way.
Not at all. And this is going to be that area.
In 15 seconds.
You also have to look at where to Guap and TKO. Both of them, not only just their survivability, but kind of the damage boost they can give. Naturally, Leon, in my eyes, because she can receive both of those, should be at the top. And surprisingly enough, and I guess I should stop being surprised by this, Geno's going to be top of the healing charts as of right now, which is just good thanks to that little boost. Healing for a flat 300. Makes it easier to contend, so you don't need someone extra, but at the same time, Cauterize still hurts him.
Well, this is a bad angle for Other Shutter here, and he's contesting, but his whole team's pushed back, and you have to go with your team here. Luckily, they do fall. There's no point in holding on to the objective here. Take a fight, get kills. If it doesn't happen, you're just not going to win the game. And Heating Up, man, just the same way Onslaught outperformed them by taking fights better earlier on at Jaguar Falls. The same thing is happening here. Heating Up just miles ahead as far as taking the fight.
Yeah, that I don't even know if I have words for that. That was just all over the place. It was scatterbrained. It did not seem like Onslaught knew what the fight was. And the thing is this is for them. This is their map. Like, this is something they wanted to go to. And if you told me that, well, you don't even have to tell me that. I know that coming into this.
Right.
But this is not how a fight should look on your map. Like, it just doesn't seem like they know anything to expect. But Heating Up are just playing Ascension Peak. They're not doing anything crazy.
Look at how little health Makoa has. 10K was dropped so quickly. And I don't think it's going to work. Beautiful dash, Soldier Bot. Spray-worthy moment right there. Baited it out completely. And actually got enough damage off because I think he might have been out of energy and just hit enough bullets to get the dash and avoid it. Just better play right now from Heating Up. We'll see if Onslaught can make an adjustment as they'll have another opportunity to defend.
Stop the payload.
Question is this going to be 2.5 minutes of Onslaught finding an okay defense, like an all right defense where it gets up to a certain area, they defend because it's Ascension Peak, and then they find one at the narrow end like they did last round?
Right.
Or is this going to be, okay, you know what? We need to stop you. Like, we need to full out stop you. Make sure you do not have anything to feel proud of after this defense. And that's kind of the goal. I mean, for 2 minutes, this payload's already moving way too fast. The control's all in favor of Heating Up.
I mean, my guy can't even find Koga right here. It's nice. And that's something I would address next round for sure in the drafts. If this does go to basically game 5. Been our only set today that's been so heavily contested. This is the one we thought would be. But the way it showed up in various times, we thought Onslaught might have had the ability to just 3-0. And that's certainly being proven wrong here by Heating Up. And the crossfire coming out while under pressure. Remember, we talked about this being a very bad time to crossfire, and it gets the same result we would have expected.
Couple more kills for Soldier Bot. Make that another one. Good lad steals that one away. Where are you going to go, Guap? You're pretty much locked in the base. You might be able to see Fiery Impact come out, but he's going to get burned down incredibly fast if he tries to touch. And I mean, if Heating Up,
still haven't killed,
again, if you just erase those first 2 games, and Heating Up have been playing like this entire time, this set would be over in 3. Like, this is a completely different team. I don't know what switch they flipped for themselves, what mentality they needed to change, or if it's just Good Lad being a little bit more comfortable now.
I mean, no, it really could just be Koga, and it could just be Soldier Bot getting a flank and getting pressure. I mean, look at Onslaught's team. Leon and Tyra versus a Koga and a Victor. They have 2 backline champs versus a flank who's applying a ton of pressure and cleaning up kills, and versus a backline champ. I mean, the key is that no one's diving and killing Jeff the Raccoon. He's 1-0-13. So where the Guap dying twice and having considerably less healing in general, as far as, burst healing, save a life healing, it's tough. So the key is, I think you need to collapse on Soldier Bot, and they do that. I think now you can move in with pressure, but Jeff has to be the target. They're finally going to kill him. I mean, this should be a win. with Fast Gap here.
Yeah, no, this and no being contested right now. I was going to say no one's standing on the objective turnaround. Whoosh still dancing around, doing whatever he can. Now they're in control. Now they're going to be able to capture this. But because Whoosh bought that time, it's probably only going to get to about 50% before somebody on Heating Up can come contest a little bit more, kind of saving them a little bit of face, maybe getting up to 60, 70 as they dance around. But you can see Soldier Bot going around the back line looking for something. If they can burn him down again, this should be a win.
Yeah, and you know what? The reason that couldn't be a real zone was because they won a little late. They had to deal with the Nando. And they have nobody like a Soldier Bot who can run up real far and then dash 3 times back to safety. They don't have a Zen that can billow away. And that's the issue here. So they're going to have to figure it out in the draft. I don't see Heating Up losing this game. I mean, they might, but I don't see it.
It's going to take them a lot of work.
Ancient Rage coming up.
I don't know. I mean, Ancient Rage is good, but Fiery Impact, we saw what happened earlier, right? That 10k health did not mean anything under the sights of Good Lad and Soldier Bot. He's going to be able to go in. He's going to be able to have it. Finds a hook, pops the Ancient Rage, and look at that health bar right now. 5,000 health, 3,000 health, 2,000 health, and it's just dropping.
What are you doing? I mean, that's also just, you need to go on the support. You need to go on the damaged characters. Those Ancient Rages have been into a Fernando shield and a 5,000 health character in the Ashe every single time. He got 748 damage. This should have been happening all game, but it wasn't. Soldier Bot, what can he do here? Does he have the Cyclo Strike? He does. He's going to be able to get the immunity, buying enough time. This is what they don't have on the side of Onslaught. Soldier Bot is going to stay alive again. 300 plus healing there. The Dome Shield to try to buy time, but all of Heating Up is back. Soldier Bot has done enough. And will it be enough to win? Because the Assert Dominance is about to be up.
Dome Shield goes down. Assert Dominance comes up. Will they be able to use it? Gets 2 stuns off of it as well. Immediately hooked out, but it doesn't matter. This Leon face tanks the shot and gets the kill anyway. Now setting themselves up for victory. There's 2 members dancing around, but they are not high health.
And what an incredible performance. You have to say the Koga was the difference maker. If it wasn't obvious before, it should be obvious now. The other Shutter just trying to reset with the rocket boots. But no fuel-powered shoes are going to get you out of this conundrum, which is that Heating Up have found a way to tie this series and send it to a final Game 5.
I mean, honestly, that one is partially draft, partially play. I think the Koga does a lot of work there, but when it comes down to it, like, they put a ton of damage amp on one side and then almost never, I want to say, like, utilize it the way that I feel like they could have for Onslaught there. There was a lot of just sloppy play overall. It felt like they didn't understand the fight that they were trying to take.
Yeah.
And because of that, Heating Up was able to just cause so much commotion, so much distraction that they were almost always split apart.
There's no other character that can do what Koga did there except for Zen and maybe for an old school Exaction Cassie who might be able to lifesteal and reset fights like that. But he bought 2, 3 dashes of immunity, then he had a whole ult of immunity, and then a dash afterwards, and then a dash afterwards, but he died before he can get that one off. But it bought so much time, and the fact that these ults were ready with the Assert Dominance, I mean, great play all around. Heating Up, they've deserved this chance to win the set.
Well, hopefully you're ready for a Game 5 because, well, that's where we're going. Heating Up win 2 straight after losing 2 straight to start off this set. And onward to a Game 5 we go, Nick. Heating Up they've just looked now better than Onslaught for the last 2 games. I thought Onslaught was going to run away with it. We were saying, well, you need to win 1 if you're Heating Up to save it from being a full 6-map swing.
Right.
And now Heating Up have the momentum on their side, potentially taking the whole set.
Well, my goodness, Good Lad, 120K on the Victor. That's a problem for them for sure. And one that's kind of been a problem all day is like when you have so few flankers drafted in these games, you don't pressure these backliners. And 14-3, it's just way too much sitting around free firing that he was allowed to do. There wasn't enough I mean, you can get aggressive with like your McCoy. You can just dive this Victor. We saw Ashe doing a really good job kind of sitting on backliners today. There comes a point though where it becomes too much, and this is that point. And Good Lad coming from Flashpoint, he knows what it is to sit and just kind of tee off as a Vivian or a Victor and not be pressured out.
I mean, he not only was the only one in 6-digit damage, he was 40,000 damage plus some change higher than the next highest damage dealer in the game. So Good Lad, well, saying he made an impact in this game is a bit of an understatement. And now you have to look towards the side of Onslaught. I mean, are you going to give Good Lad the opportunity just to kind of sit back and, like you said, just kind of tee off on the rest of your lineup? You have to
Not if they want to win.
You have to address, well, right, you're not going to let him do it, but you might not have a choice depending on how the rest of the heating up lineup play. Now, if you're looking at Onslaught, what do they need to change to avoid Good Lad just sitting back? I mean, is it again just kind of frontliners giving them space on the back line to just provide damage?
Yeah, either draft an aggressive front line to sit on it and do that job, or draft a flanker to do the job, because someone's
Right.
got to do it. Nobody
Right.
has won a game today when they just let this Victor free fire and do almost double and a half the amount of damage of anyone else in the game.
Yeah, well, they need to find some way to address it. Map number 5 is where we're going to be headed to see if they do address it. Serpent Beach it is. So Onslaught get this choice. They go down 4-0, 4-1 for Heating Up's 2-win streak, and now they get to pick map number 5 for us for the day. It is going to be Serpent Beach. Anything you expect to see here? Obviously, you know, sort of the standard frontliners. Are there any interesting, maybe DPS players that might pop in here?
We might see a Drogos today.
Yeah.
It's not looking that way though, with Talus and Coca being banned away. You will have your Leons, your Victors, your Vivians even. Everything's available right now. It's going to be
It's all open.
a battle for those assault rifles.
Does one team go for the double assault rifle is the question, because we've seen it happen in other games today, and it's done pretty well. So with all 3 on the board, one team could get both of them. Heating Up have at least started off that puzzle with a Vivian first pick here for themselves. Genos obviously first pick for Onslaught on the opposite side, and as I asked the question, the double hit scan Vivian Victor is going to get picked up here for Heating Up, and if it's anything like last game, that's scary for Onslaught.
I think you grab a Ash Khan here.
Yeah.
I think, oh, Khan's banned out. Dang it, never mind. Makoa maybe. You need something to peel these guys off of the high ground. Ash is a really good answer just to be able to shoulder bash in
Right.
And assert dominance and try and stun them out when they're going to be pretty kind of clumped up together. But dang, like I said, there's really not a lot of AoE punish on in the console meta. So the way Heating Up are building this composition right now, feels like it could go relatively unpunished. But Ash Fernando, it's okay. It's better than nothing.
Right. No, that's true. And they have the thing to look at is that Heating Up have like the high level of momentum coming into this game. They
Certainly
were really against the ropes and fought back in a really big way, 4-0, 4-1 to get them back into this one. And Nara Grover's going to round out their top 4. So now the question for Onslaught is, what do we pick? I mean, you have the Ash, now you have the Leon. Is that aggressive enough, kind of pressuring enough to make the Vivian Victor combo uncomfortable? The Grok, potentially interesting. Do you like it?
I like this because I think it will allow Ash Fernando something else to help get in the face. I think Luminary is going to be pretty much what just kind of keeps them doing damage, so they're actually a threat. But it has to be, it's going to have to be pretty committal, right? It's going to have to be the back of a lot of Tempests, but this is a very, very stacked compositions. So I think Grok can charge his Tempest 2-3 times around very easily,
absolutely.
and he's going to need to pop them liberally because that's going to be their win condition. You don't even really need the healing of the damage. You just need that movement speed to get your tanks up in their face and just like cause havoc. Just put the pressure on, and you'll watch the gameplay start to fall apart of the people who are being sat on.
Well, that's where they're going to have to look to find some pressure onto the opposite side. They have the Ruckus as well. So lots of bullets are going to be flying in the direction of Onslaught here. Now we're tied up at 2-2. One game separates both of these teams from taking first place here in this region. We're going to head down to Serpent Beach, and we're going to head down to your casters.
Well, this is a great map to change the dynamic for sure. And unlike all these other maps, high ground, even more important here for the point and for the push. And guess what? Pretty much no champion has it, except on the side of Heating Up with Jeff the Raccoon. Every other champion, no access to high ground except for the Grok in the ultimate, so we'll see how that works. And, you know, basically who comes out on top.
It's going to be
literally
good old-fashioned brawl when it comes down to it here on Serpent Beach. The only way up is the ramps, and those are pretty heavily guarded. As of right now, health bar is much better on the side of Heating Up than they are on Onslaught as the burning's just coming through. Calamity gets a good first blood.
What a good Ruckus play, and I think the switch up to Ruckus in the draft was really where Heating Up, for me, might have won the game, because I think Ruckus has just been such a non-factor. And it's not just the Vivian, because that's the thing they were counting on, because they'd banned that out and let the Koga through. But the Ruckus adds another dynamic Onslaught are having to deal with on the fly. They've got no prep for this right now in this set.
This is actually a really good look for heating up. That should be a good enough zone. As of now, no one looking like they're going to be able to slip through. I mean, you have a couple of mounted Fernandos running around.
Yeah.
Not going to be able to make a big difference. Not even going to be able to touch. If he had been able to, probably would have been burned down, just like his shield and his health there. Not a lot of standing ground, really, for Onslaught.
And you know what? This is not a bad matchup, but when the Grover comes over, that's what screws you. And, you know, there's just not enough conversation around for the other Shutter. He's getting a good amount of healing, so he's staying alive. I'm impressed at that, but look at the amount of damage they're doing with the Ruckus and with this Vivian. I mean, this is a pairing that I'm not sure they're going to be able to get through.
I think the only way you could get more Ruckuses on one team is then trade out like Victor for Moji.
Oh,
then
yeah.
you have all of the just hold down your clip
Imagine that
and do whatever you can.
Rotating.
All together. I like the idea of like you're standing on the objective, you see this Ruckus coming through the door in front of you.
Yeah.
And then you feel some damage from behind. You flick around and there's a Moji coming from behind you. And then out of the waterfall comes the Vivian. You're just like, I don't know what to do here anymore.
They all pop their shields like whenever you shoot at them, and you're like, oh my god. Huge Hexifier here, heating up. I think they've officially reached boil as Good Lad finds 2 kills.
Dude, I'm ready to cook these noodles.
And they are ready to, whatever it is that you want to do with hot water, they have the options. Make some tea, make some
cheese.
ramen noodles,
You
some
never
mac
know.
and freaking cheese.
The only reason that comes to my mind is the other night, 10 p.m., I'm relaxing.
10 p.m.
I had gotten
Gore Miser's in his pajamas.
5 hours of sleep
No
because
sleep.
we went to
He's not
went
thinking
to
straight.
in-game Friday at midnight, and
He's emotional.
I wake up all the time. Katie
He's
comes in, she's like,
15 seconds.
make me some mac and cheese. And I'm like, I'm sorry,
And
what?
he's hungry.
She's like, make mac and cheese. And I'm like, but it's like 10. Like, I don't want to cook.
Gore.
And that's
the
why
best
it's on my
time.
mind. This
That's
is a
the best
terrible
time to
story.
make mac and
This was
cheese.
terrible storytelling.
Well,
a boring story.
I gave you a little, like, you know, translation as far as, like, if it was like
and at the end of the day, it meant nothing.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Gore, you know, your life has...
Anyway, I can't believe Mr. Rogers won.
Yeah, wow. And I think Whoosh here with the incredible Inara that we haven't really talked about at all. And you know, I hate how sometimes we have to do that with the Inara because she's doing a good job. Whoosh is doing a good job here. But it's really just, I think it's just the Ruckus for me. And I'm excited to see how this translates because, you know, Onslaught can't be happy about this. Drafting no... Tell me what you really think. That was good. And
That was
I
really
think that's
good.
the one thing that might have really caught heating up off guard.
That caught me off guard. I was sitting here thinking, haha, you ran into the wall. What you
Yeah.
gonna do? What you gonna do? Jump over the wall. Come
Oh.
back at you. And now they're
Oh.
getting a lot of damage. TKO finds a really good shock pulse.
He needs the
You
heal,
have a
dude.
Fernando
Heal
who's
him.
incredibly low.
He didn't drop the heal. No. That would have been the difference, I think. And now it's heating up, who still get the point. But man, you had to let go of the fire. Get your heal up, Fernando. Let him get around the corner. That could be the difference.
You know what would make Onslaught's draft better for me? If any of these guys played Cassie.
Yeah.
That's why I kind of miss watching Elevate. One of the things
Yeah.
that they've brought in that I think is refreshing and something that I think just bears with the story we've been talking about the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Not only playing what you're comfortable with, that's one thing, but being able to be so flexible that you're just like, you know what, this would be good. Like, Cassie against this team with a Wrecker would just demolish a Vivian and a Ruckus. There'd be no chance for heating up to have this amount of control.
Yeah.
And not having that in your back pocket right now is really hurting you.
I mean, there's just a lot of things that are hurting, and I think the problem is to be able to flex towards the 5th pick, and Onslaught having to maybe overcommit earlier on in the draft really, in fact, actually kind of hurt them here. And there's a Tempest from TKO Ghost. I'm not sure if the Grok is doing what it wanted to do, but they will at least find a defense here. Unfortunately, heating up have just shown that they could dominate, and at this point, I think Onslaught very, very close to committing the full reverse sweep. Which, that's gotta hurt. That's gotta hurt you mentally and emotionally there.
And with how dominating the reverse sweep has been so far. I mean, you were talking about it's kind of like a team of Cuskides, right? Where it's just like, come through, yeah, you can just ride the wave of momentum. But I mean, at this point, it's not even just riding that wave anymore. It's the fact that they are being able to get so many points almost uncontested. This has probably been the best they've ever done on Onslaught for the last couple of maps.
Yep.
And admittedly, it's because they were grouped up, so Shock Pulse hit 5 people every time.
Right. And I mean, I think this is where you would succeed, but I mean, the track record just shows that that doesn't matter. The pressure is in the damage, and Brock brings a lot of it, but Vivian and Ruckus bring more, and they bring more burst. And there's not the ability to kind of have the sustain. And it's really going to be the burst that's the key. And look at that, the other Shudder barely even put his shield up before dying, and he just dies a few moments after that. These rockets from Calamity have been phenomenal. Great performance from him to turn it around. Didn't have some easy games on Ashe earlier on, but has been so much better on the Makoa, now on the Ruckus, just really heating up everything they need.
Kills are really good right now, heating up, kind of locked
Look
into
at
this
this.
awkward area. Calamity, though, has Hex of Fire available, gets the reload off. 5 seconds till he has an emitter shield. If you lose a Nara, it's going to be hairy, but you still have a lot of damage.
Right, but he has the shield. He might go back in. He's going to get a heal. Oh, they're going to call it off. Okay, so that's smart. They have their ultimates. They're going to save it.
Hold them.
At this point, heating up, no. They have the power. They just won a point fight with Fast Cap on the side of Onslaught.
You got the power.
Give it to me, baby. That's not the song.
9.
Nope.
Either way. That's all I got to say, though.
It's looking good for heating up here, I think, to say the least. I mean, there were a lot of moments.
I'm a little stunned. I'm a little stunned that this is actually taking place, Gorm.
In 15 seconds.
Especially, again, rolling back to map 1 and 2. This should have been, I think, honestly, for either of these teams, I can say this, it should have been a 3-game set. The fact that they've been as dominating in their games, like, the first one was a little iffy either way, but Onslaught definitely seemed to have been able to kind of take the reins, take control at the very end of it, and then going into map 2, it looked that way for the set. Heating up changed their style. I think Koga played a big role in that, but there was a lot that just led to them being in the success seat. And as of right now, I mean, with a Whirlwind, keeping everyone topped off, Onslaught just don't feel like they have it just yet. That kill might be able to open the door, but they need more than just that.
And you talk about the impact of Soldier Bot, too. I mean, he really had a phenomenal set. And those little moments, like he did last map on that Koga, I mean, maybe it's like, yeah, that's what Koga can do. No one else can stop him, but you still have to do it. You still have to execute. You still have to hit your shots. And to allow that to turn into the win, that allows this win to even come close to happening and be on the verge of happening right now, you got to say that's impressive, man.
I mean, dancing back and forth, the fact that he lives through all of that, you have a couple of kills at the very beginning of this fight going in favor of Onslaught. And now everyone's back, now everyone's dealing the damage. Good Lad seems to have fit in here. Took a little while to get online to where I think he wanted to, but it's clean.
And look at that, heating up, complete the reverse sweep after losing the first 2 games. Heating up, successfully win 3 in a row, and off the heroics of pretty much everybody on that team. And guess what? Good Lad, still undefeated this season.
Being able to kind of keep his track record going. A little shaky there, I think a little closer than he ever had on Flashpoint, but still able to kind of squeak it out at the end.
Well, that's going to do it for this set. We've still got one more for today, but before we do that, send it back to the desk.
Thank you, guys. The reverse sweep is completed for heating up. They go down a quick 2-0 and find themselves 3 straight to take it over Onslaught here today. And they looked really good while doing it, Nick. They didn't look really good to start things off, and then looked really good as a team down the stretch there. I didn't even really think about that. Good Lad was very close to losing his first game here in the PCL, but this is his new reality. He has to deal with. He has to play against Onslaught every few weeks, and these teams are pretty close.
Yeah, definitely, and it's a bit of a wake-up call, I think, coming from where Flashpoint is so dominant in that region.
I agree.
But I think it's good for a team to have to compete and have to actually evolve and change and adapt and not just kind of do the same thing over and over. When you're looking at Flashpoint, it almost doesn't matter what they do. It feels like they are definitely that good in that region to be able to kind of dominate with whatever they feel like that week.
And a guy I think that really stepped up here in this game, I mean, we've been saying Good Lad, we've been saying Soldier Bot, Whoosh and Jeff the Raccoon had some great games today as well, but Calamity in this last game, he'd kind of bounce around the flex role going into this game, and we see the Ruckus come out, not usually coming out here in these PCL drafts, so getting to see the Ruckus, an 8-2-8 scoreline, that's awesome there for him, and he I mean, he supplemented the double hit scan with a little bit more of the Ruckus hit scan on the back end, and he had a great game while doing it. I mean, I think kind of the way I said it's a good way of looking at it, where you have the Vivian, you have the Victor, and then you just have some more ruckus damage on the back end of it, and I think he played his role very well here.
You need some big ruckus players for sure, because the characters that are strong, these Victors, these Vivians, these Tyras, Leons, like these backliners that more or less decide the meta and are first picked and first banned in these drafts. Ruckus is really good at just walking those characters down and killing them, because he does enough damage. Obviously, they still do more, but he's got so much more HP. Yep. He's got the shield.
Got extra rockets.
Tracking, yeah. He's got his rockets. It's like all kinds of stuff. I'm really almost, now that I'm seeing it, I'm like, man, where was Ruckus today? Where has he been? You know, I know Parker loved to play this back when he was playing, and it's almost like, where did this pick go all of a sudden?
And I think that's kind of interesting to look at, in that not super out of the box, but we saw some interesting picks today. Koga making his way through mostly on the heating up side, but at least in set 3 we had maybe some meta shifting picks. The Koga comes back.
Yeah, definitely.
We had the Grok come out a few more times than maybe what we're used to, and then the Ruckus coming out here in the final game. So maybe some of this variety, some of the spices we like to call it, maybe starting to trickle its way over to the PCL.
Yeah, variety is the spice of life.
Variety is the spice of life. It's the way to look at it for sure. It's maybe Tabasco level of spice. You know, we're not throwing a jalapeno spicy for me. That's not spicy for anyone else. But
the best tongue torch from Zaxby's. That is the most just like the general population can love this hot sauce, and
that's true. It's
delicious.
Good tasting. It's easy on the tongue. Heating up though, they find themselves still firmly in first place here. Their one loss, of course, to Onslaught here, but now they take a 3-game advantage now over Onslaught. So for Onslaught to retake first,
they were that close.
Yeah, actually, when you really think about it, Onslaught need to fight them and then do a 3-0 the next time.
Putting away that 3-0 would have been so huge.
It would have been big. It would have been big for them, but that's going to do it for this matchup of the day. When we come back from break, we have Cats on Mars playing Eastorm, so you don't want to go anywhere. We'll see you right after this.
Yeehaw.
The Paladins Console League, brought to you by Skillshot, Evil Mojo, INAP, SteelSeries, and Respawn.